It is 7:02 p.m. Today is Tuesday, March the 8th, 2022, and welcome to week number five. Five. That means that next week is it, and this course will be over. So I'm going to spend some time going over the assignments for today, and let's go from here. Okay. We can confirm this by looking at the calendar, which let me move that. I do the month view, and you can see this is where we are today. Initial post is due tonight, our lecture. Your reply post is due Saturday the 12th. Your written assignment, the 13th. Live classroom phrase or word that's due. And you guys that are here tonight can get your points right away. And then finally the quiz. And then notice that next week, the 18th is the last day of class. So it's a week from Friday. So we're about at the end here. Okay. All assignments must be completed by the 18th. If they're not, they will not be accepted after that. Let's look at the announcement, because we got a video we're going to go, and it's going to take quite a bit of time today. Let's move this. So drug-related criminal activity, public health perspective, and chapter 9 of Drugs and Crime and Justice is the book chapter, and I sent you the PowerPoints. Addiction, public health. Then we're going to look at that video, Chasing the Dragon. And then you're going to do the indicators of use activity. Your discussion assignment, incarceration or treatment, initial post, again, due tonight, and the reply post Saturday. Your written assignment, recidivism and public health, and then the quiz. All right, so moving right along. Let's get into the module. Okay, so for the assignment, remember how important that rubric is. So again, remember Dave's scenario that we've been using every week. So in this week, you're going to address the drug enforcement policies on recidivism, discuss the possibility of Dave reoffending, explain some long-term impact of drug enforcement policies to public health, discuss how current drug enforcement policies are impacting recidivism rates, and then provide an effective approach to reduce recidivism rates, provide an explanation of how this approach would be effective for Dave, provide credible sources. Don't just do one. You know what my policy about having them throughout the body of the paper. APA formatted. People lose points right away when they don't have any citations in the body, and a reference page and a cover page. Romans 12. It must be 2 pages minimum, not 1 3/4, but 2 pages minimum. And it must be in the form of a Word document. Here is the rubric. Again, I operate over here. Remember I said that if you don't have citations, you can't provide exemplary. You can't do it. It's impossible. Incredible sources, and then professional language and spelling. If you don't have them, you end up over here. So many of you wonder why you go that far off. Is because you have to provide, okay, here it says accurate description with supporting details. If you don't have citations, you don't have any supporting details. Okay. Competence, basic. Basic and put you over here. You shouldn't be happy over here. And you definitely won't be happy over here because this is not doing so well. This is the column you want to be in. Very, very very important. Use your rubric for how I've shown you already where you find your comments from your assignments that I've graded, weeks 1, weeks 2, weeks 3. Okay, this week I finished the discussion posts from last week grading, but I'm still working on written assignments. I'll start working on those by tomorrow and Thursday and have them completely by Friday. Any questions about the written assignment? Type in the chat box. Okay. Discussion, incarceration or treatment. And so you're going to look at this fact, this information up here and here. And then in the first post, identify and discuss an alternative you believe is better or more effective to incarcerating. We talk about that a whole lot. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit tonight. Discuss the pros and cons of your alternative and effectiveness, and then discuss the funding source and so forth. And then your reply post, a student with a different perspective. Okay. All right. You know when those are due. All right. And then you have your quiz, which I'm not going to click on because you'll see it. And then your live classroom recording, and then your word that goes here for the key that I'm going to give you. All right, so we're going to talk about this pretty quickly. You're going to go over this, and then we're going to look at this video. All right, so get ready. Now, I've provided you 2 sources to help you deal with the public health aspects of what law enforcement is doing. I gave you the Chicago Police Department version, and then I gave you Senate Bill, I think it's 2380. And you guys should have that because that'll help you with your assignments as well, dealing with deflection, because we have already been discussing quite frequently in this course that it's a public health issue and that the laws in place are there to help individuals. And remember, the deal is to get people from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, doing a 180 from 12 o'clock and helping them to change their lives and go in a new direction. So as you are going to discover tonight, that, and you saw some of it last week, prescription painkillers and heroin have led to addiction and arrest for drug-related crimes. Remember what I said. People commit crimes to support their drug habits, and that the possession and distribution and sale of these drugs is a crime. But now what we want to do is we want to deal with this epidemic, this opioid epidemic. And this video is going to talk about some of the things that you're going to discover. It's really something. But anyway, the point of the matter is that law enforcement is now going to the point of connecting drug treatment and recovery services. That's what those programs of deflection are all about that I sent you. And law enforcement officers are the starting point, but they pass individuals on so that when a person comes into contact with the police, rather than going to jail, they will give them the alternative of being sent to a program to help them. And remember, the key to dealing with recidivism is addressing head on the problem, and that's the drug addiction. Locking up people without doing any kind of treatment is counterproductive, and they will be recidivists. In fact, they will probably digress rather than progress and be worse than they were before they went in there. And so there's an issue, though, with financing these things, and it takes a whole lot of money. Many police departments, such as I gave you Chicago, have this program of deflection. Here's one from 2015 in Massachusetts called the Angel program. And so it says what I said: people seeking help for an opioid addiction were invited to go to the police rather than run from them, and they would connect them to treatment services. And those programs, people don't get charged for the offense, even if they're in possession of drugs or drug paraphernalia. And the police act as an entry point to treatment, which is ever so good. This is what law enforcement is doing. This is the newest response. Remember, I talked last week about Narcan and about Noxolone to arrest individuals, not to lock them up, but to arrest the addiction. And trust me, there are some serious problems that individuals have, and I'll have something at the end. I want to share with you a book of a person that came to Rasmussen and spoke to us about this. So anyway, be aware that as you complete your assignments this week, think about these alternatives in terms of helping Dave and dealing with the drug addiction. And then we got the indicators of use activity, which, as I said, I'm just going to point it out to you, and then you're going to do the knowledge check, and then you're going to read the question and then select the answer that fits perfectly within it, and then you're going to submit it, and then you're going to check each of those. I'm not going to go over those for you. All right. So now I'm going to spend a good part of the time here going. I want you to look at this video, and I'm going to remove my headset. Okay. And I hope you'll be able to hear it, but there's also going to be closed captioning. But I want you to pay close attention to what you see, and then think about the questions that are at the end here. What a correlation between prescription drugs and opiate addiction? What ways the people in this film got hooked? Make notes, think about it. What did you learn about how fast someone can be addicted? And how did the people in this film describe their routines once opioid addiction set in? The main reasons that individuals switch from prescription medicine and advance to using heroin. You'll learn all of this in just a few minutes. And then what are some of the health consequences of opioid addiction? That'll be discussed as well. So buckle up. Let's get ready. I'm going to take my video and stop it because it makes it run smoother. Okay. Wait a minute. Where is it? Okay. I gotta stop the video. Okay. Where is that thing that I want to do? Okay. All right. So let me stop this. It will do it. Okay. There we go. Get ready. Chasing the Dragon.
I didn't care. I didn't think about it. I just did it. Once we started getting high, it was done. She was 17 years old, and the only way I knew about it is because she was arrested. Started smoking pot around 18. and I was always offered prescription drugs, and I never would take them. Then I was in a car accident. I was running down in the middle of the night to get some water, fell down the stairs, landed on my back on the wooden floor.
It started for me with pot and just progressed into hell, basically.
Weed didn't do it for me, but definitely weed started it all for me. It was definitely something I didn't see until it was too late. I had no clue what I was getting myself into, so. Started taking 3 at a time, and I was taking 4 at a time, and then I started taking 6 at a time. You're getting high, it's not just a drug.
You know, $500 going
And
into
she was a convicted felon at the age of 18. I had maggots in my leg. Turned to prostitution.
stealing from my family.
Married, mother of 3, and I'm tripping.
Take you to hell and back.
It's not just a little pill. It takes control of you. I started using heroin. Same heroin that just killed me. You can't go back and say I'm sorry. It will get you. Her sister found her.
Died in her sleep.
My daughter. She's dead.
Being addicted to opiates is like chasing a dragon. You're constantly seeking that first high. But what's going to happen if you actually catch it? Come from a great family, you know, always had what I wanted. Never had a curfew. I could sleep over at my friend's house whenever. I could have done anything. They would pay for me to go to any kind of school, stuff like that, and any kind of pay for guitar lessons.
I grew up with my dad. My mom wasn't in my life, though. He pretty much was mom and dad throughout the whole life. He would tutor me for at least an hour. On the weekends, we'd go out, we'd go camping, we'd go out on the boats. We always had something planned. She started in gymnastics when she was like a toddler, and she was a cheerleader through middle schools, high schools, and she was also a competitive cheerleader. She started competing probably in 7th grade. She was a very good student. She was in AP classes, AP honor roll. Worked myself up through the years with minimal college to a position I worked as a corporate account executive. I was making about an average of $122,000 a year. Things were pretty good financially. We were secure. Kids were happy. We had no real issues. Dad was military. Mom was Korean. Everyone I grew up with was the same way. Everyone's parents was military and Korean parents. Korean mom. No, I did martial arts, ballet, gymnastics, did all kinds of stuff. I did piano lessons. I was an honor roll student, always went to school. I was like 3.43, grade point average.
I had a great childhood, great family. We did a lot of camping, a lot of fun stuff, going to the beach, camping at the beach. Very active in scouting, Boy Scouts, and something my father, me and him did together, you know, a couple days before my 18th birthday. I actually got my Eagle Scout, which was a big accomplishment for me. I met my first husband when I was very young. I was 13. And then we got married at 17. So I got to grow up pretty quick. I was 22 years old, and that's when everything started. I got pregnant with my youngest daughter. Once I had her, they gave me Oxycontins. That was the pain medicine. From then on, that's where my addiction started.
A friend offers you something at a party or at home where you're having a bad day and you need something to pick you up, so somebody hands you a pill and says, "Here, this will help you feel better." That's how this problem always starts.
I was at a concert when I was 15 at the time, and I was drinking a beer, so I got a possession of alcohol charge. I got put on probation, so I couldn't smoke pot anymore. So I started to panic, and then somebody approached me and said, well, here, try this, and it was Oxycontin 80. So I was hobbling into work, and a young lady that worked there used to be a pharmaceutical sales rep, and she had some samples of things. And she said, Katrina, have you gone to the doctor for this yet? And I said, no. So she said, well, I have these things. Take one, not more than that. Go home, take one, you know. And I had a habit every night where I'd go home and have a glass of wine. So I went home that night and I took what she gave me, but instead of taking one, I took two because I didn't even know what they were. And took the two, had my glass of wine, and all of a sudden, it just triggered something in my brain, and I would say I became addicted that day. I think the new friends had a really, really big impact on, you know, when she got to that fork in the road, you go left or you go right, and I think at that point, the friends helped pick the road that she chose. This sounds really appealing. I'm going to try that. But I guess what most people and most kids don't understand is, you know, when you try something, you're not trying it. It's your new path.
I just like the feeling of certain things being high. It wasn't like I'm depressed, so I'm gonna take this to make me feel better. It was kind of like I'm feeling good. I'm gonna try this to see if I can feel even more better. Started taking 3 at a time, and then I was taking 4 at a time, and then I started taking like 6 at a time. And then I went from taking them orally to shooting them. And that was the end. I went back to the doctor a couple times and got him to refill the medicine to the amount that he couldn't refill it anymore. So then I started buying Oxycontin off the street. From there, Oxycontin started to be more expensive and harder to find. A girlfriend of mine introduced me to heroin. I could get a whole lot more for a whole lot less. And then once I shot up the heroin, that was it from there. My addiction took off, and my daughter was 7 months old when I became physically addicted to heroin intravenously.
I never hesitate to ask them all which drugs they've tried. And they'll typically say, started off with marijuana, tried cocaine, I've tried oxycodone, and I ask them of all the drugs they've ever tried, what's the most addictive drug? And without a doubt, 100% of the time, they'll say the most addictive drug is oxycodone. You know, the drugs, feel like it took my mind over, made me do things that I, normally brought up not to do, and it just turned me into a monster.
I just went in my medicine cabinet. My buddy's like, oh, hey, these will get you high. Let's do some. So I was like, okay, you talked me into it right here. I don't have to pay anything, sure. It doesn't even have to be a drug dealer. It could be right in your house. Next thing you know, you're hooked. My friends in the beginning were the friends that didn't do anything, and then I met the crowd that did do stuff. You are who you hang out with. That is for sure. These kids go into it as, I'm just going to go to a party, and hey, they're doing this over here. Let me, I want to fit in. Let me do it a little bit. And if it's the devil, it gets you. It's, it's that temptation. Hey, this is a fun party over here. It'll suck the life out of you. All I wanted to do, if it had been in front of my face, is do it. It's not just a little pill. Respect the power of that, of that pill. It's just because it's a prescription, it is every bit as deadly and every bit as addictive. I worked at a daycare, taking care of other people's kids. I drove the daycare bus. I had to take their children to school. But before I could drive their kids to school, I was in the bathroom of the daycare, crushing up pills, snorting them, so I could go about my day. The whole time you're sitting there saying you're not a f***ing addict, you're not addicted, guess what? You f***ing are. Because why are you taking that hit saying, nah, dude, I can quit when I want? You know, you're addicted. People are like, oh, I only smoke weed. I'm not addicted. It's natural. It's like, whatever. Oh, it's legal now. Oh, whatever.
First time somebody uses an opiate drug, the euphoria that they get is something that they continue to search for and seek for. So while you could do that in the beginning by just chewing on the drug, over time you can't get that high anymore. And so now you have to take it up to the next level. And nobody sets out thinking that they're going to end up being a needle user. But every one of those needle users will tell you that they couldn't get the high anymore doing it the way they were doing.
Heroin became my best friend. Heroin became the love of my life. I put heroin before my family. I put heroin before my children. And I thought that I couldn't do nothing in life anymore without heroin. There's absolutely no difference between, in my mind, a heroin addict and a pill addict. We both will do anything to get it. Break the law, do whatever. You're both addicted. You both go through the withdrawals. You both go, it's the exact same thing. It's everywhere. It's in your cabinet somewhere. It could be in your grandparents' cabinet. It could be your friend's mom's cabinet. It could be anywhere. That's pills. But, well, heroin could be in a drawer somewhere. Who knows? It's all the same. One's just prescribed to you, and one you go cop on the street. There's no way to say no with the opiates. It's hard. Hard. I can tell myself no, 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 but my body, as soon as you think about it, you get anxiety, your palms start to sweat. You know, your mental ignores your physical part of it.
I am very angry. And one of the things I'm most angry about, and I tell her all the time, is that drug was so much more important to you than me. And I'm the one that can help you. I'm the one that helps you. I'm the one that supports you. I'm the one that'll always be there for you. You need something, I'm going to be the one to take care of it for you. But something that literally destroyed everything good within you was so much more appealing. Wanted that so much more than anything I could offer her. And I'm angry. I am angry about that.
The progression of addiction and the behavior that comes with it is pretty standard, regardless of where you're born, how much money you have, how old you are, what your race is, what your nationality is. You can be the smartest person in the world. The minute that chemical hits your bloodstream, you lose control of what it does in your body. You can't control it. Nobody can control it. I don't care who you are. It's not controllable. I lived in crack houses. And it's almost like something you see on TV, an abandoned building with drug paraphernalia everywhere. It might be a piss-stained mattress, and God knows what else is on it. There was actually a place in the city that we were at, and a lady had overdosed in the bathtub. She died. She was still in the bathtub. We'll just find another room in the house. And that's what my day consisted of. It became my full-time job. The needle was my boss, a very demanding boss. Your whole day revolves around it. You go to sleep doing it, and you wake up doing it. You know what I mean? It's like some people smoke after every meal they have. No, you're doing a shot. It's a never-ending vicious cycle. It's the same thing over and over and over. You wake up, all you want to do is find out how you're going to get something. How you're going to get it.
You know, it's kind of stupid if you think about it, because I'm wasting all this money stealing from my family and my friends just to do a drug and fall asleep, you know? And then I wake up sick, so I'm like, crap, now I gotta do it all over again, you know? You're still chasing that first high. So, you know, in order to be high, you gotta at least be normal. And to get there, you gotta at least do enough to where you're not sick anymore, so.
Well, usually, if I had stuff the day before, I'd always save a bag for the morning time, so when I wake up, I could get well. And I call it that because in the end, I wasn't using to get high anymore. I was using to stay well, so I wasn't sick. You know, I'm not even getting high. I'm just trying to, be able to get up out of bed. You know, my head was always on my lap. You know, I feel like I missed a couple years of my life because there's a lot that it's just a fog, black fog, because I really wasn't there.
My addiction level was so bad that I couldn't even function without 40 pills a day. I was ill, like literally every 4 hours, the chills started setting in. And I would wake up and I woke up sick. That's the way it went all day long.
How do you know you're an addict? It's when you're doing something that you know is not good for you, that's harming you, but you can't help yourself. When your relationships are starting to fall apart around you, and you don't care. The only thing that's on your mind is about how to get the substance and how to get to the next high. You're an addict. You can't maintain an opiate addiction and a normal life for very long.
I felt like after my first year of using it, I actually got physically addicted to where I actually needed it to wake up and get out of bed, start moving around, take a shower. And that's when I started, stealing from my family, friends. Whatever money I had in my pocket was all going to it. If I got a $500 paycheck, $500 going to dope.
Because you always tell yourself, whenever you're using drugs, and especially it's like a super addictive one, I'm not addicted. Oh, but you're addicted. You know what I mean? Like, you're fucking addicted. You're in denial. You might not be addicted at that point in time, but you're going to keep using, and a month later or 2 months later, you're fucking addicted. At one point, my husband said he would stop putting gas in the van so I could drive the distance to the city to get my drugs. I said, well, I'll show you. I'm going to move to the city. So I don't need my van and I don't need gas money because the dope dealers are going to be living right here with me. And that's what I did. I ran away from home. You will be high and put yourself in situations that you will get hurt. Someone will take advantage of you. To be knocked out, it's going to happen. You're going to get hurt.
Some people who have money and they don't have to steal for it. And then you meet other people who, just pawn their family's TV and is coming to get high and then deal with the consequences later.
She stole checks from her grandmother and signed them. She stole my debit card. If it wasn't nailed down, it was in a pawn shop. She spent $800 a week. My daughter, who had, everything handed to her, could have gone anywhere in the world, very book smart, very motivated, worked at a strip club. My little girl degraded herself just to get that.
Women turn to prostitution, which I've done myself. Guys will steal. They'll rob you right in front of you. I've seen guys take guns out on dealers and steal and rob everything from them, not even worrying about if they get shot or end up in jail. People get raped. People get killed over stupid. It's people now. I can say it's just a drug, but like when you're getting high, it's not just a drug.
Best thing that can happen to someone who's addicted to oxycodone is that they can be arrested. That's the best thing. The best thing that they can be arrested and go to jail. Everything other than that is worse. It's going to end in a bad way.
You're going to get caught eventually, so I just didn't think it was going to be me. I would just think, they must have screwed over the wrong person. They got caught because they weren't careful enough.
She was pulled over. I searched the car, and she had a quantity of pills. At that point, she was smoking them, so there was some type of a pipe device in, so she was arrested. And she was a convicted felon at the age of 18.
I have 4 kids. My youngest son will be 1 this month. I've been locked up for freaking 8 months. First time I came to jail, first time I got locked up this year, he was 2 weeks old. You know, don't even know my kid. My other 3 are in foster care right now. I never thought any of this would ever happen to me. The only thing I care about is my kids. Like, my kids are suffering. It's not me. I give 2 shits if I'm suffering. I mean, yeah, it sucks. But it's like, my kids, they didn't do anything in this. My parents, you know, they got to come visit me through, I don't even get it, through a window. I get through a camera and a little camcorder. That sucks. It's not worth it. Losing your freedom sucks. You have somebody tell you when to get up, when to shower, when you eat, what you eat, and you got to worry about the other people that are in here for, you know, life, and they don't care about you. I was supposed to go to court November 2011, and the judge was supposed to let me go. He gave me the maximum, which ended up being 23 months, 2 years instead of the 10 months. And at the time, I was so angry. In retrospect, I'm very thankful because I would have, I know for 100% certainty, I would have gone right back out and done it again.
I got kicked out of my house, and I met your neighborhood-friendly drug dealers who were like, oh, you can crash on this couch. And they, you know, of course, they'd give me stuff here and there, but it wasn't ever enough for me to even enjoy it, so that made me run fake prescriptions.
You don't think about anything. You don't think about anybody you're hurting. You don't think about before and after. You don't think 7 dudes in all black are running up in your house. You don't think you're going to be on the news. You don't think anything. You don't think any of that.
Every generation seems to have their drug of choice. Unfortunately, this generation seems to have found prescription opiates as that drug of choice. And even more unfortunately, the consequences of those drugs are far more devastating than anything else we've seen in the past. Chemically and physiologically speaking, there's very little difference between oxycodone, morphine, and heroin. It's just that one comes in a prescription bottle and another one comes in a plastic bag.
In the beginning, I would always try and get pills because you know what you're getting, you know? You know it's always going to be the same thing. And then eventually that just got too expensive, you know? So then you'd go for heroin because it's cheaper, but you take that risk of getting really good stuff and overdosing, or getting fake stuff, or just stuff that isn't good enough to even get you well.
A lot of my friends were trying heroin, you know, to get the same high from the Oxycontin, and it was cheaper, and so of course I got into it, and it just grabbed me.
I can tell you this, that I think she was able to access more heroin, easily than the pills. When she was using one or using the other, she was the same horrible, difficult person. I always said that I would never touch heroin ever in my life, and it was prescription drugs that led me to try heroin. Prescription drugs are the same thing. It's an opiate. You can get 4 shots for the price of 1 pill, and it's a dirty drug because you never know what you're going to get. People can cut it with something that can kill you, you know? That's how most people overdose, is that it's cut with something bad. The doctor asked me, he said, where are you getting your heroin from? Where, you know, and I said, I will never tell you who I'm getting it from. He said, I don't want to know from who. He said, I want to know from where. And he said, well, let me tell you what you're shooting up. He says, you're shooting scrambled heroin. And they are using meat tenderizer as a cutting agent. It's not like, you know, a bag of heroin comes with ingredients on the back. Of course, you trust your drug dealer that he's going to just, you know, keep you coming back to him. But he claims he didn't know either. That's how he got it. But, yeah, so it eats everything away underneath. In here, they shoot a meat tenderizer, and they have, like, big blue black marks
I'm like, what the f is that? I'm like, oh, that's meat tenderizer. You've got a few of them. What do you mean? You didn't learn? No, you don't learn because you're trying to get high. It doesn't matter.
A lot of my friends have had abscesses. They might get a staph infection, which turns into MRSA, or Hep C. And if that's your only needle, that's your only needle. So you're gonna use it again.
At one point, I had an abscess in my leg that was so bad. I had staph infection. My leg was like 4 times its normal size. When the doctors cut my leg open to clean it out, I had maggots in my leg. They were eating the rot, the infection. That wasn't enough for me to quit. As I was admitted to the hospital, they gave me a PICC line, which is an IV line. I had the dope dealer come into the hospital and shooting heroin into my IV line. I have contracted hepatitis C from sharing needles with people that I don't know who. I've shot up toilet water because I didn't want to spend any money to go buy a bottle of water. So we would stop at public restrooms and use toilet water to mix with it to shoot it up. Rainwater on the side of the road and suck it up in the needle and shoot our dope. I didn't care what it was going to do to me later on. I wanted the feeling of it right then and there.
Withdrawal for the individuals that are taking the heroin that's available now looks like extraordinary physical, muscular pain. And very few people can actually manage it.
Like, you know how when your whole body hurts when you have the flu? And, it's like 15 times worse than that. Opiates, you're getting sick. I don't know who the you think you are if you think you're stronger than some dope, because you're not. You know what I mean? Your body's going to give in. Your mind's going to give in. Your judgment's going to give in. You're going to bow. And that's just the way it is. The way it is. That withdrawal is...
You feel like you just want to die when you're going through that. At that point, you're willing to do anything to get that next high so you can just feel normal.
I mean, I remember her in her room crying and just busting her room up, screaming at me, just get me a little. Just get me a little so I can stop. No.
Feels like your skin's crawling and you can't sit still and you'll do anything to make it stop. You can't move. You constantly sneeze. Your whole body aches. It hurts. People are crapping on themselves. People are puking on themselves. People are doing both at the same time. You would probably rather be dead than have to actually go through a withdrawal. It was horrific. I was sitting on the toilet, diarrhea, vomiting on the floor, so weak I couldn't even move. I just lay there like I don't want to eat, drink, nothing.
It's just something that I never ever want to experience again. It is the worst feeling ever. And I wouldn't wish that feeling upon my worst enemy. That's how bad it is.
Every day I come to work knowing that somebody died. And more times than not, we have at least one prescription drug or other substance abuse case. Your friends, your family will find you dead, and then what happens? And then that is the image that they get stuck with for the rest of their lives.
I've lost several friends to heroin and prescription pill overdose.
I know 2 people on a personal level that had died from it.
You know, one time my friend, she got out of here. She got high. She wasn't even out 6 days. She was dead. One of my friends, she took her normal dose and OD'd. Her sister found her with a needle in her arm in her room, which was not good.
The day that I overdosed, I was having a hard time finding a vein, and a girlfriend of mine said, well, just go in your neck. You have your jugular vein. And I said, okay. It didn't let me push all the heroin in, and instantly it killed me. When the ambulance got there, they gave me a shot of Narcan, and I was non-responsive to the Narcan, which is adrenaline. That's to, jumpstart your heart. And it didn't work. So they had to use the defibrillator, and that's where they shock your heart back. I got a pulse. They got me to the hospital. I was still kind of in and out of it. But when I came to, I unhooked the IV from the pole and hooked all these little things they had on me. And I walked right out, got in my van, and I showed up to the dope dealer with the gown on, these things stuck all over me, the IV in my arm, and he sold me heroin, the same heroin that just killed me. I utilized the IV a couple times before I turned it back in. So I have nowhere really to shoot, so that was a freebie. So everything came to a head. I was writing the prescriptions and full on with my addiction, and I ended up getting caught and going to jail. And while I was in jail, my daughter got involved with some friends. From what I understand, her friends were all doing prescription pills. I had no idea. I didn't even know it was a problem. I just thought it was my problem. And she said, Mom, you don't have any right to talk. Look at you. Look where you are. She said, the person you saw where it put me, I can't imagine you would do the very same thing that I did. I was like, how? It just didn't make sense.
My mom, I felt this every time with her. I told her I'm going for her. It worked. This will go for me. I so I went in there. Saying, oh, she got arrested. She called me saying, what would you make? It's your own daughter. No. She's sorry.
How Kirsten. When I talked to her, she didn't even say goodbye. She must have nodded off the phone because I heard like that was it. It was Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. I was in the jail and they came down and told me they needed to see me. And I went up and because her father and I were both arrested for the same thing, we were both there. So I saw him coming and the detectives came and told us that what had happened. The parent overdose, and that she was initially they said she passed, and then they said she was in ICU, struggling for life. They wanted me to talk to the doctor, and the doctor recommended I disconnect all life support, and I refused. Had 7 resuscitation efforts, I guess, and eventually, that morning she passed away. At her funeral, most all the kids were high. Death is real. And I will say, because I remember being that teenager too, so I know it's like they're gonna mock it, but it's real. And I think I'm still in shock. Like it is hard. I don't even know how to put it into words. Maybe that's why I'm able to deal with it, because it's so mind-numbing. That someone you love that much. She was my first love. Someone you love that much, you can lose like that, and you can't go back and say I'm sorry or set a better example or talk them out of it, and I know she didn't want to go. I know that's not what she wanted. I know that she had, all these things that she wanted to do, and I know that as they resuscitated her through the night, that was her way of clinging to life, But it was.
I love my children more than anything in the world. I will walk through fire for them. And I know a lot of parents feel that way. But you can't feel that way. You have to understand what you're dealing with is not your child. I put my own child in jail to stop her from this. And that's not an easy decision to make. It's not a fun decision. Nobody wants to know that their little girl's sitting in jail. But she was 7 months clean, eating healthy, getting her rest, no drugs. My son, my nephew, my mother, and I went to get her. And she came out, she was healthy. Everything was great. Everything was great. There were no problems, no fighting, no talking about, Mom, I'm feeling funny. I need to go to a meeting. Nothing. Everything was just that little girl at 16 before all this stuff started. That's who she was. And then she asked to go to the store to get a pack of cigarettes. And she came home, said, oh, Mom, I'm sorry I was late. They didn't have my cigarettes. I had to go to another gas station. Okay, and things fine. So I'm cooking dinner, and I'm like, you want to help me cook? She's like, no, I don't want to help you cook. She I'm going to go in my room and watch TV. And she was so bubbly, like nothing. Nothing was wrong. And she went upstairs, and it was maybe 40 minutes. I was cooking dinner. Dinner was done. And I'm hollering for the kids. My son and nephew come down, and Sarah didn't come down. I think she fell asleep or something. So I go upstairs and knocking on the door. There's no answer. I open that door, and my little girl is on the floor dead. And I remember when I pushed on her chest, I heard that last breath. I was in my kitchen cooking dinner, and that happened 17 steps up, and I had no idea that when she left this house, that was going to happen. And I spend my Sundays looking at a gray headstone in a patch of grass. I will be spending my Christmases there, her birthdays there, all my holidays. Because she took that wrong turn.
My girlfriend Sierra, she passed away a year ago this month, and from heroin, and that's a constant big reminder in my head that if I even pick this stuff up once, it's gonna kill me, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her, and not morning that I wake up, I don't wish that she was laying there beside me. She was my best friend. We went to high school together. I met her in high school. Sorry. I just miss her a lot. I wish she was still here with me.
Sarah came home on February 12th. Sarah died February 18th. She got out, still calling her. It's that powerful that you could spend 7 months clean, and being educated on nothing but how to beat it, how bad it is for you, all this in the last 6 days.
The spiral down is so fast. It doesn't take much. And I lost everything. I lost
my daughter first and foremost, but I lost pictures, every material possession I had. I had never been in trouble in my life. I'm now a felon at 41 years old. So all that work I did, and all those dreams I had, now it's like I'm starting over again with a huge weight on my shoulders. You know, all for a pill. My dad doesn't even trust me anymore, which is hard because my dad's always trusted me my whole life. I've never had my dad look at me with disappointment before I did this. I'm a criminal, I'm an addict. That's how everybody will always perceive me. Listen to what they say no. Just say no. And you're not uncool for saying no. You're more cool for saying no, I think. I wish I could have said no. If I could go back and do it all over, I would definitely go back and say no.
I didn't feel like I was physically hooked, but that's because I never gave it a chance to stop. And I didn't really learn how to enjoy life without drugs. As much as I wanted to quit, I was too scared to ask for help. I don't want to freak my parents out by telling them I'm hooked on some hardcore drug. It didn't kill me like everyone told me.
It's not worth it. And it will get you. You're no different than anybody else. It will destroy your life. You will end up in a jail, you'll end up dead, or you'll be in some crazy institution for the rest of your life. And that's serious and that's for real. And it took me coming to jail and being incarcerated. And it took me missing my mom's funeral, missing my children grow up. It's taken all of this because nobody in their right mind would turn their back on their dying mom for a drug. I want to be that loving and caring mom that my mom was to me, to my girls. I don't want them to hate me, to resent me. I don't want them to be embarrassed by me anymore. If you want to fail the rest of your life, if you want to be in and out of jail, if you want to possibly lose everything that matters to you, go ahead, go get high. Go ahead. If you want to be happy, you want to freaking get married, like every good part of my life, I wasn't getting high. You know, every good part of my life, I was getting high. And any drug addict will tell you that. If you want to be a flunky, go ahead and get high. Go ahead and do it. But I've been there, done that. And I wouldn't recommend it. Sierra did not take life for granted until she started using. It is much stronger than you. And it will win. It will win. Because this doesn't just affect you. It affects everybody in your family for the rest of their lives. That we're the ones stuck here, missing you. And there's help out there. You gotta take it. Don't think you can do it alone, because you can't. And your parents aren't the enemy. They just want the best for you.
It's something I want to deal with for the rest of my life. You know, to be honest, I actually I relapsed about a month ago and used for about a month, and I have a week. I had a week clean on Wednesday, and you know that's something that just shows how powerful this disease is. For me to lose somebody a year ago, not even a year ago, how powerful this stuff is. I just gonna try my best to stick with it, because I know it will kill me. just something I gotta work at every day. It'll take you to hell and back, and if you're lucky, you'll make it back. This is not worth it at all. If I could go back, and if I knew what I knew now about this, and if I could go back, I would do it all different. Starting with that first pill, I wouldn't touch it.
Woo! I don't know about you. I have seen this so many times in teaching this class. And every time it makes you realize how important your job will be as criminal justice professionals, because people need help. And you see how simple, how easy it was for these people to get addicted to this stuff. Painkillers. My wife will tell you now, I have back pain now. And I'm very careful about what I take. Some drugs I will not take. My wife had to go to the hospital last night. She wasn't feeling good. She had some problems, so they gave her morphine. The point of the matter is guys, you can end up elevating in your life. We all probably know people like this, but think about this in terms of your career and your future. I've seen people in front of my face just go through convulsions, and when I was a police officer, I've seen them. We didn't have Narcan back when I was a police officer. Thank God we have it now, but it's something. I have a book here in my hand. This is the book, From Dope to Hope. And this gentleman, Tim Ryan, came to Rasmussen and he spoke to us in the Romeoville campus. And I commend his book. If anybody's interested in it, reach out to me. I'll tell you how you can get it. You can get it on Amazon, actually. From Dope to Hope, Tim Ryan. And he tells the story in here about how he used it himself and how he was able to survive and come back. But one of the downfalls he had was that one of his own kids, and here's a picture of his son, who he couldn't even, his son got hooked on it, and he wasn't able to save that son. And that's one of the regrets that he had. This happened, this kid was living in a good neighborhood, good community, Boy Scout. He had his dad in his life. And the point of the matter is that he was born December 2nd, 1993, but August 1st, 2014, he was gone. This is an addition to that video. It's something that's very serious. That's why when I teach this class, I teach it the way that I do, and I start out by saying from the very beginning that you're going to discover that the course is called Drugs and Crime, because drugs lead to crime. And then getting people from 6 to 12 is not an easy thing. And when you get them to 12, you saw that young girl who was 7 months clean, came out just like that that drug called her and she was out. That was it. Lady in the hospital, you saw her, she had the IV in her arm. She had the drug dealer to come in and shoot in her IV drugs. That's how bad it is, the command that you lose. And it affects every part of our lives. So I wanted to let you know that that's why those of us who are in criminal justice law are teaching the importance of recognizing what you're really going to see when you get out there. I mean, I've seen some really bad situations. People, as they said, dying with needles in their arms. And good communities. It's not, it used to be just the urban areas, but this opioid addiction thing, it doesn't, the wealth doesn't matter. The key thing, and now it's in the grammar schools. You have to watch your kids. My kids, when they go to parties and stuff like that, I watch very carefully where they go. So anyway, guys, that's about it for tonight. Next week we'll come and we'll conclude this course. So I got a phrase for you. Yeah, it was. It was. It was not only was it deep, but just think about it in terms of it's mind-boggling, and it will make you think. You know. Anybody suggestion for a key phrase or word? Nope. That's that. That's good, but that's an issue. Treatment. All right, I'll tell you. Chasing the dragon. That's it. That's what this whole thing was all about. But showing you how law enforcement has to deal with this and how it's really more of a health issue. So, all right, guys, this is a little after 8, but you got an assignment to do. Now you got some things that you learned from this video and from the materials that I supplied you with that will help you, the deflection issues. So I'm going to say good night to you. I'll see you guys for the final lecture next Tuesday, 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please get to follow those assignment requirements from the rubric. Very important. If you do that, you'll end up well. And I do put the comments in the rubric. All right. See you guys next week. Stay safe. Thank you.